All right, all right. Once again, welcome. This is Radio Voice of Niger. My name is Apostle Dokino. And we are transmitting this hour on 105.3 megahertz on ETA. We also streaming live on internet via salto.nl/Razo. Today, in this special program, we're focusing our attention on the heart of Africa, on a country called the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. For nearly decades, 3 decades, in fact, the DRC has been caught in a cycle of war. It has claimed millions of lives, displaced entire communities, and shaken the region. This is not a distant story. It's a crisis with global implications for all of us, touching our economies, our security, and our shared humanity. You know, I want to give you a little background before we dive into the stories and the discussion. You know, the roots of the Congo Wars are tangled. In 1994, the Rwanda genocide pushed millions across the border into Eastern Congo. It brought also armed groups with them. Adding to the competition for Congo's vast natural wealth, gold, cobalt, and coltan, and then you get a very deadly mix. So with weak governance, corruption, and the meddling of neighboring countries, they have kept this fire burning. This conflict has unfolded in waves. The first Congo War was in 1996, which overthrew Mobutu Sese Seko. The second Congo War was from 1998 to 2003, and it drew 9 African countries, ending the name Africa's World War. Even after peace deals, violence never stopped in the north and south of Kivu. Other rebel groups joined in. And while foreign and local militias continue to terrorize civilians. Okay, and I think other guests is joining now. Awesome. So this has been the story. And then we see that Congo's minerals actually power our cell phones, electric cars, laptops. Instability there means higher prices, supply chain problems, ongoing human suffering. But more of that, it's a test of our global conscience. So peace in the DRC is not just a Congolese dream, it is a responsibility that we all share. So in this episode, we are going to be unpacking the stories, the human story behind all the headlines. And with me this morning to unpack the story behind the Congo, the DRC, are 2 beautiful gentlemen. Let me use that. I did it beautiful for intentionally. I have in the studio this morning Mr. Ewing Amadi Salumu, I beg your pardon. Ewing is a journalist and also an UNESCO Peace Building Award winner. Let me take this opportunity to just appreciate and let me welcome Ewing right now. Can you just say hello to our listeners and viewers eventually? Go ahead. Can you speak? We can't hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me very well?
You know, yes.
Thanks a lot, and thanks to your listeners. And we are happy to be here today to talk about Congo. As you mentioned in your introduction, Congo is not only about Congo. Congo is for everyone. And today, if you look in your house, you will have everything, and you try to look. If you try to think about minerals, so you'll find in everything you're using in your home something that's related to Congo. So thanks a lot to be invited here today to your show.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then, of course, our second guest is Mr. Gaetan Mbwete. I don't know whether I pronounced the last name well.
Yeah. You did your best. You did your best. Thank you very much.
He's a real estate professional. He's also been active in the church community, supporting with the housing issues. Say hello to our listeners and our viewers, Gaetan.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Reverend, for having us.
Yes.
Thank you for all the listeners to take your time to listen about the DRC. I think one of the most important country in the world, facilitating the global wealth, making sure that we are comfortable in our European lifestyle. I'm born and raised in The Hague, but the roots go all the way back to DRC. So I'm from the Stichting Wij zijn Congolese, and we are a diaspora group who like to dig into our culture and to represent also the Congolese voices. So thank you for having us and taking time to talk about, to give the Congolese situation a voice. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome, welcome. Well, listeners, so if you want to reach out to us, of course, the studio lines will be open. You can call anytime to throw in a question or remark, and that is 020-737-1301. Let me take that again, 020-737-1301. Thank you. All right, let's kick off. So right now, just by way of an intro, let's try to understand this conflict. Could you tell our listeners briefly when and how the cycle of the wars in the DRC began? I think I'm giving you some kind of intro, but if you want to add something to what I've said before, that is still okay. Go ahead, gentlemen. Any of you can take the lead.
Ewing.
So let me first begin. First of all, what I have to mention here that I've been living since I was 20, the situation in Congo, that in the year 1996 began everything. And I do remember that I was just finishing my study and was like, okay, what's going on? We saw just the military begin shooting two countries against other, and then poof, that was the beginning, 1996. And this is seen as the first Congo War, 1996, 1997. And you have to remember that was 2 years after genocide in Rwanda. So we saw many refugees, more than 2 million people coming into Congo. And I do remember it was like, okay, what's going on? And then our first ministry of that period, that was Kengo Wadondo, asking, okay, how can we manage all things with the refugee? But when the refugee came into Congo was like the beginning of everything. So if we may take 1996 at the beginning of the war, we can't forget the 2 years before the beginning of the war, that the coming of more than 2 million people, refugee coming into Congo. And what you see is that in 1996, I do remember that I left my city in September, and I came 8 months after, because I was IDP for more than 8 months, just from one province to another province. So 1996, 1997, this is the first Congo War. And after that, it came again in 1998. In 1998, I saw many friends with whom was just at the college together.
Yeah.
Coming back not as friends, but as military.
If I may just interrupt, I know it's just like you're going to tell us, but let's kind of keep it snappy and let's see, so we can cover some ground. So if the Rwanda genocide had not happened, with 2 million people coming to the Congo, do you think that the disruptions which took place in the DRC would have started with the overthrow of Mbwete Seko as well? Do you think if you take the genocide out of the equation, would there still have been a situation that we're seeing today?
We could have a kind of a civil war in the country, because if you go to the report from the World Bank, it was a 27% that the situation wasn't good. The civil war could happen. This is a situation, but the genocide in Rwanda was just a matter of fact that was a factor, a kind of push. A kind of push, because we had a period of 30 years of dictatorship with Mbwete, and that was not for everyone something that should remain. The idea was, okay, we have to change things. And then in 1996, this happened, but after 2 years, all those people. But look again, if we couldn't have genocide, Rwanda couldn't have an argument of attacking Congo, because when they attack in Congo, they said we are pursuing the genocidaire who are now in Congo. And we from Congo made a mistake. It means we didn't push these people into Congo, but those people stayed just near the border. And I do remember, if you go in Panzi, if you go in a college Alfajiri I was studying, if you go in Goma, you will see all the camp just near the border.
Yeah.
And sometimes they were targeting, trying to go back, because the idea was, okay, this is not our country.
Yeah.
We have to go back. We have to regain and remain in our country. So they were trying to go back. And for Rwanda was just an argument to say, if Congo doesn't do something, we will go into Congo. We have to stop all the genocide there. And this was what we call in the Dutch smoesje. And that kind of things. They had an argument that allowed them to attack Congo. So you see the first Congo War, 1996, 1997, 1998 to 2002, because in 2002 we had what we call Sun City Agreement, and then everything stopped in 2003, and after that it's a kind of
roller coaster. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Let Gaetan, you come in now, give your perspective, and then we'll roll along.
Yeah, I always like to listen to Ewing. He has a lot of experience and hands-on experience on the ground, and I liked the fact that Ewing has a lot of experience on the ground, and I'm looking from the perspective of a diaspora who was born in The Hague, and try to make analysis of what is happening in the DRC. And I like the question that you asked, that if there was no Rwandan war or genocide, would it still have been still the war that we see here? If we look at the root causes of the conflict in DRC, they will always find, let me say it in proper English, smooshes excuses to invade DRC. So the root cause of the conflict in DRC is minerals. That's something we have to understand. If we can, they always use the ethnic excuses to justify themselves why they are entering the DRC. But if you let me say differently, if you remove the minerals of the DRC, there could be peace in 24 hours. That is my analysis. If you remove all the coltan, cobalt, there's no economic incentive for rebel groups or any other Western country or Rwanda or Uganda to invade the DRC, because that's number one. So what are the root causes? First of all, the DRC has the curse of too many minerals, and a lot of people are interested in it. So they will always find a way to justify themselves. So that's what I see for the DRC.
Yeah, so the blessing is tend to be more like a curse. The blessing of the minerals is has brought all these troubles. Yes, Ewing, you want to say something?
No, look, there are some intrastate problems and interstate problems. When you go to intrastate problems, then we do not have to avoid problems, ethnic problems. In 1993, we do have a problem in the North Kivu with Magrivi. That was a war, a kind of fighting between how do you call it in English? The cartels, people that just have a cartels, and the other just cultivating the land. This was it. That was just in the North Kivu. And we couldn't manage the situation from 1991 to 1993. And when you go in South Kivu, you go in a situation of Minembwe. There was just a kind of fighting between some tribes in that region. You do have the Banyamulenge, but just around Banyamulenge, you have the Banyindu, you have the Bafuliro, Bavira, and the Babembe. There was some situation. But if you look into, you have to go in the period of 1964, and then you will find the root causes there. And if you go there again, you will find that the situation in Rwanda of 1959 was the beginning of everything. So you see, sometime we have to go adjust, accept the argument of Gaetan about the mineral causes. This is something that we see from 1990. But before that, we have also other issues, internal issues that I'm taking it into intrastate. But then we go into interstate problems. Then you see Rwanda just would like to have a kind of minerals. But then again, this is not something new in our history with Rwanda, because in the pre-colonial era, we still have this problem of Rwanda attacking Congo, attacking the kind of kingdom that we had in the period. So we have to have a most the big picture.
Okay.
In the period of what happened in the past, what happened now, of what happened in 1990, because you will see that in 1990, that it was the beginning of the mobile phone. And then when we come in 1920, then you have the we saw electric cars and everything. And then now, and mention one thing: the world will not be a world without Congo.
Yes. Okay.
The electric problem, electric car, electric problem, the electricity in the world. So you need Congo.
Well,
if you look to win the war in 1945, you need Congo. You need nanotechnology today. You need Congo. So
okay,
this is.
let me just interrupt. When Mobutu Sese was in power, so are you saying that, of course, he must have exploited the wealth of the country a lot, but in those days, was he actually giving away or selling the minerals? But he was doing it because he was in power, so nobody could fight or challenge him. But in today's world, the issue of the minerals had become so blown up. Everybody knows about it. So Mobutu, was he really taking the minerals out of the country on his own with his foreign partners, and nobody knew about it? Or this whole thing about minerals just exploded after Mobutu Sese Seko?
Mobutu was controlling everything. Mobutu was controlling minerals. But there is something in 1990. It was a liberalization of everything. Politically, everything was open. We spoke in that period about democracy, and it was just after the fall of the war. After the fall of the war, and then everything was say, okay, democracy.
German wall, the wall in Germany.
Germany war.
Okay.
So, and you see in Africa was just okay, everything was opening, and then he opened everything. And that was the beginning of everything. And maybe I can let Gaetan, because I'm not alone here in this show.
No, it's good. I always like to listen to elders who has more experience, but our point of view is we have to understand that before Mobutu, there was Lumumba, and I always like to make my work from Congolese to put the Dutch and the Western link to the Congolese conflict, because just to add to Ewing, and I think what you also say, Rev, kingdoms always fight. That's something humankind. There's always neighbors fight. There's discussion over the cattle can feed. It's even biblical. It goes to it's humankind. But it has been amplified since the West has seen their own interest. So what the West is doing, they're using the ethnic discussions between countries and exploiting it for their own interest. And that's something we need to know, because we have listeners from Amsterdam. They also need to know why does it concern me? The conflict in the DSC concerned us because there's a Western interest. We all know, even the Volkskrant wrote about it. It all started before even the time of Mobutu, where they killed Lumumba. I think it's a known story. Even the Dutch Minister of Foreign Affairs gave his green light. He said it is in the interest of the Dutch government that Lumumba should die. And that's something we should know. Everybody can Google it now. Minister van Buitenlandse Zaken geeft toestemming to kill Lumumba.
Wow.
And they needed someone who they can put as a puppet.
A puppet, yeah.
Where you see Mobutu coming to power, and they tried to cut the country, Katanga and all the regions.
Yeah.
So they had Mobutu who was serving his interests, especially in the context of the Cold War between Russia and the United States. And something people need to know that Einstein wrote about it in 1940, between 1940 and 1945, is that the Congolese minerals are key in the national security of the United States. So that's something we need to know, that without the DRC, there's no American military, American superpower, because you can have all the money. We heard about NATO, they were in the Hague here. They want to increase the budget to 5%. You can have all the money in the world, but if you cannot buy the minerals
to make the weapons, I mean, you can do nothing.
You just have money, and money does not protect you. Bullets and bombs that can protect the country. So that's what we have to know. And it's in the interest of the West to keep the DRC in conflict with Rwanda. So in a way, in the end of the day, Rwanda and Congo are just brothers who are fighting, and the fight has been exploited by the West.
Okay.
So that's something we need to understand. So there's a direct Western influence
in the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, that is very obvious. So the question, what one might ask directly is, so are these two brothers, or let's say sister countries, ever going to be able to come to their senses to know that, okay, we are fighting because an external influence is making us fight? Can we ever get to our senses to stop the fighting and kind of find a way to resolve our brotherly conflict, or what have you? Do you ever think that it will ever get to that stage? Or they will still like to put themselves at the, let's say, under the influence of Western powers?
Yeah. What I think. Sorry, Ewing, you want to say something?
Go on.
No. What I think at the end of the day, it's the human greed is something that will always be in place. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't put people in position that they can exploit that greed. So in other words, the European Peace Facility, that's something, a facility of the budget of the European Union. They give money to militaries to bring peace in the world. For an example, in November last year, the European Union gave more than 20 million euros to the Rwandan army to do peace missions. And 2-3 months after, I think in January of this year, they attacked the DRC by backing up the M23. So how to go forward is one of the things I think is that external parties should end to amplify or to equip persons who want to attack other countries, and that can force countries like Rwanda to rethink the strategy and go to the table of negotiation. That's what I think.
Yeah. Ewing, you want to add something to that?
Look, I usually need to put things into context.
Yeah.
We are the country, and we will remain sister countries, and we will never change all the borders.
Yeah.
But as Gaetan mentioned, kingdom usually fight. And what I see is that in the pre-colonial period, in the period of colonial, and today, there was still others fighting. But what people should understand is that Rwanda is the consequences of conquest.
Yeah.
It was just a small kingdom, and begin just becoming big just with a fight, just with fighting, and was just annexing other kingdom, and came to the border where they are today. And what we see, and when you talk with the people in the region, and when you talk with the elders, they still have this understanding of Rwanda is trying to invade us. Rwanda is invading our country. Rwanda is still in the period of the pre-colonial period of invading country in order to be big and big and big and big.
Okay.
And with the situation of today, let me again. when you talk, when Trump some interviews of Paul Kagame, of Kabarebe, and others, you will hear something. Congo has we still have our land in Congo. We still have our land in Congo. They usually come up with that ideas, saying Goma, for example, they say Goma is the land of Rwanda. They say Butembo is a land of Rwanda. They say South Kivu is a land of Rwanda. And what they are trying to do is invading country.
Okay, I see.
It's a kind of invasion because in the periods of history, they usually to conquer, to invade countries and annex and make what we call annexation of a country. They did this in Bugesera with Burundi. They did it some kind of with many countries. If you try to understand the history of Rwanda, you will see this. And for some elders in our country is, okay, they're trying again. They are coming again. They are coming again. And this is the reason you see what we call today, there was a lendo. There was a lendo that they are patriot that said, we are fighting for our land. Because in their understanding, we are fighting with someone who is trying to invade our land, who try to take our land, and we have to protect our land.
Yeah.
So it means even if there were some minerals, this should also be a problem.
Wow.
And to be clear, also that the minerals is a reason for the West to back Rwanda. Of course, that's what I'm saying. Kingdoms are always fighting. If it's not about whatever, it can also be about land. So the main reason is economic, and that's the interest of the West. But it's clear that the president, the current government of Rwanda needs more land. And they're trying to get it from the DRC.
Okay.
But and one of the root cause, I always try to make the link with the West. It all started that the DRC has never been, the current shape of DRC has never been made by the Africans themselves. It's a Western product that didn't respect the kingdoms, existing kingdoms, and has just created one big land of different kingdoms. So that's why people say, hey, wait a minute, before you Western came to our country, that piece of land was ours.
Yeah.
So it's the roots of everything. If you go
colonization is really
colonization. They made the borders without knowing which kingdom is part of what.
And just to come to your point, Gaetan, this happened, right? This happened. And in 1884, 1885, there was what we call the Berlin Scramble of Africa. And after the Scramble Africa, they came. There was a fight between the German and Dutch in the region. There was a fight, and German won. And we have this a kind of border that we have the Lake Kivu and then the Ruzizi. But then again, there is a big part of Congo that is still remain in Rwanda, a big part of Congo. But if you go into the narrative of today, you will see people saying there are still lands of Rwanda's land in Congo. No, that is not right. If you go into history, you will see that the border that we have today is for 1908. It's for 1908. But if you try to look the border of 1884, 1885, the border was somewhere just in the forest in Rwanda, in Ishangi and Nyamasheke, that is into Rwanda. So it means we still have land to gain from Rwanda.
Yeah, but you
and
know,
when the other saying, "Oh no, you still have
we're all saying,
land disputes are always a problem. You know, even among individuals, you know, people fight about land borders and things like that. That is always an issue. It's difficult to resolve, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but one question that I'm just thinking of is that in terms of size, how big is Rwanda and how big is the DRC? And also in terms of population, because I think in my mind, DRC is a much bigger country than Rwanda, and probably it's more resource than Rwanda. And yet it looks like Rwanda, it's more powerful and it's more aggressive towards the DRC, and the DRC is weaker in a way. That's the way.
Yeah, I like your question. I really like your question. It's something that's been bothering me. For me, I can say it in the way I'm Dutch, a bit Dutch. I'm becoming more Congolese. I'm doing research, and that was one of the questions I also mentioned. Rwanda is nothing without backing of the West. On their own, they cannot do anything. That's something you have to understand. In terms of size, the DRC is big as Western Europe, from Portugal till Denmark and Denmark. That's the square meter size.
Yeah.
And I don't know how big Rwanda is, but I think it's maybe the Benelux together. Ewing has to correct me, but it's much more smaller. But Ewing wants to say something, but the last thing I want to say is that what I've seen is that one of the causes that the DRC cannot defend himself is the scoffalocide. I don't know the impunity, not being scoffalocide. So that means you're not getting punished for what you're doing wrong. For example, let me explain it in an example. A lot of people who committed the genocide in the DRC over the years have become part of the Congolese army. Impunity, I'm trying to say. So what you see is that the Congolese army cannot defend themselves because those who attacked the DRC are now call themselves generals, are part of the army. So when Rwanda wants to attack, they have their own people within the Congolese army who can easily give up their positions, who can easily make sure that Rwanda will not be defeated. And so that's one of the things we have seen over the years. The peace deals of the let me say the construction of the West is based on making those who raped our women, our mothers, our fathers, who killed them to be part of the Congolese army over the years. So if you do that over 30 years, you have an army that's weak. You have an army that's infiltrated. And on the other side, they say it's M23, they say it's rebel groups. The question we ask, how can a boy who didn't study have the newest weapon made in a German or American factory within 24 hours in his own hands? In as a rebel of the M23, it's impossible. You need to infrastructure. How you cannot be a bol.com, order your weapon, and will come in the middle of the jungle of Rwanda. It's impossible. That means you have backing from the Western armies. Is financed because those who make the weapons will not give it for free. So there's a whole infrastructure that's making sure that Rwanda can back the M23, for example, other rebel groups, and on their turn, they can also attack the DRC.
Wow. Look, I would like to go back to the question. What is the superficie of Rwanda? 26,000 and some. 26,000. Just this is only one territory. 26,000 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is only one territory, for example, Shabunda in South Kivu, just one territory of South Kivu. What is superficie of Congo? Then you have 2,300,000
square meters. Wow. Massive, huh?
Yes, it's much bigger. It's for the Europe can go into Congo four times.
Wow.
Rwanda in Congo is more than 56 here in Congo. So there is some thing that we have to understand here. As I mentioned before, Rwanda is became a country because of invasion. They invade and became big. In order to do that, you must have a big army. So it means they have a culture of fighting for what they need.
Yes.
They have objectives. They have strategy just to do what they need to gain, to get what they need to obtain. So they can plan for example, a battle, they will have a strategy. They will also have discipline in order to come to what they need. What we have to know is that in the pre-colonial period, Rwanda was what we call here the big a superpower.
Rwanda was
military superpower.
really
In that time.
that time. Okay.
In that time. And today is still a superpower, a regional superpower in Africa, because they have this culture of fighting. They can battle, they can gain, they will still, and I mentioned they try to invade in order to expand.
Can you hold on for 1 minute? Okay, during the time of Mobutu, were they attacking the DRC? Were they fighting? And was Siseko able to like keep them at bay? Because I never heard of anything like, as far as I remember, maybe I was still younger, but I did not remember any conflict between DRC and Rwanda in the days of Mobutu, and maybe he went fighting them or pushing them back or something like that. So is it that all of this erupted after Mobutu?
Look, Gaetan mentioned one thing. Lumumba was killed. And after the killing of Lumumba, they need a puppet to put in place.
Yes.
We were in a period of Cold War, right? And Mobutu was supporting. Was USA with everything? Europe was just NATO, I may say, was just supporting Mobutu.
Yeah.
The idea was just they have to keep one man who is really strong in the region.
Yeah.
And the one man, that was Mobutu. If you go into some documented CIA with Tempelsman and everything, you will see, you will have everything. And you will have some reports that are now declassified.
Yeah.
When they mention how Lumumba was killed, what happened, and what was put in place. That's why you didn't see, for example, some fight between the Congolese and the other countries, because Mobutu was just ruling all the countries around us. He was the king of all those people.
Great Lakes.
That's why he was also negotiating with the rebels, Rwanda rebels, FPR, RPF in Arusha with President Habyarimana, Cyprien Taryamira, and in 1994, those two, after just negotiation, Arusha were killed, just going back. And then you see that. And the president of Rwanda, Habyarimana, was just a close friend of Mobutu. And I do remember that there was just a fighting, and Museveni came with the Umkhonto weSizwe, South African, just to take power in Uganda. They came it was just in the border. But Mobutu was just trying to push them out. This is the situation.
So
and to finish, since the period of Mobutu, we have two places that can be considered as a weapon market. That is the Plain de la Ruzizi and the Plateau of Irengeti. There's two is always since the period of Mobutu until today. There is no security there because it's market trade, weapon market trade. This is a place everything is occurring. It is easy to have a gun of 50 euro, $50 in that region to kill someone. Yeah.
Gaetan. Yes.
Yeah, I always like to make the link with the West. The conclusion, Ewing said it all. What you see, according to your question, is the West is just changing puppets. It was before it was Mobutu, they put in power there. Now they're putting the one who's controlling the area is Rwanda. So what you see is that they just choose the puppet they like for the season they like, for the moment they like. And that's something that has been the strategy we all know, to divide and conquer. So they will just look for someone who will serve their needs and who's ready to make their hands dirty. So it was Mobutu first, was controlling everything, fighting with everybody there, and controlling even Angola, even controlling Rwanda, Uganda, and all those countries. And now you have Rwanda, who's the next puppet of the West, and that's the root cause. The influence of the West needs to stop, because every era they always choose one puppet who serve them. So it's the same strategy. So that's why I don't like to talk too much about the Kagame. It's just one of the new puppets they're putting in place to serve their needs because of the Western greed, if I can say.
Do you agree with that, Ewing? Is that also your view?
Sorry, my view?
No, Ewing.
Okay.
Is that also your view?
Maybe I was going more into details, trying to explain, but my need is just to put your listener to understand what's going on the road. The problem is,
my question, just
Mobutu was just Mobutu had the time, and after Mobutu came Rwanda, came Kagame, and not only Kagame, but it was Kagame and Museveni. Because you will find in those two capitals where the unity is.
I see.
If you're going to Kampala, you will see that there is a big HQ. If you go in Rwanda, you will see a big HQ. It's just to try to control, and they try to control the region. Mobutu had the time to control the region, and when Madeleine Albright asked Mobutu, please, you have not to leave the power, he didn't accept. And what happened is that they have found someone else to continue what he was doing before. And he knew what will happen. And he said before he died, after me, it will be chaos, because he knew what will happen. And in 1990, he sent troops in Rwanda. And the troops with Mayele was just taken, ambushed. And they asked him, they asked him to go back and say to Mobutu, this is the time you have to stop. They knew what will happen.
Let me ask a question. Now, so you're telling me that because Mobutu was removed by Laurent Kabila, okay? Laurent Kabila.
Mobutu was
overthrown by Kabila. Now, Laurent Kabila was killed.
Yes.
His son took over. So are you saying that all of these changes of power and leadership were all orchestrated by foreign powers, foreign influence?
You have to understand the situation here.
You said that at any point in time, they want to have a puppet in place. So Kagame is there, and now Kabila was there, and then Kabila's son, and now we have somebody else. Okay. So are you saying all these things, all these people are influenced by the West?
Let me just try to clarify here.
Yeah.
Kabila, father, wasn't a part of the deal.
Oh, he wasn't?
He wasn't part of the deal. When the fight began, they thought, how can we move into Congo without the figure, without someone who will represent the Congolese? So they went in Katanga to find someone who was fighting against Mobutu in 1990, since 1964 to 1967. I mentioned this before. In the period of independence, we had this kind of fight and everything. So Kabila father was fighting, and that's why came Che Guevara in our country, just to help those people who were seen as nationalists. So because after 67, he couldn't go somewhere, he stopped and wanted to live in Tanzania. In 1994, after the genocide, when came the plan to invade Congo, they had they need someone. That's why they go back and find him and put him there and say, okay, you are now the figure. You are now someone who is just to take this coalition just to invade Congo.
Okay, so who's putting him now? Is it the Rwanda government putting him now?
Rwanda government and Uganda. This was the decision of Rwanda and Uganda together.
Okay, to put him
together, because those two countries were just fighting, just invading Congo. And then, before the fall of Kinshasa, in May 1997, he declared himself as the president of Congo.
Kabila, that is.
Kabila. He did it in Lubumbashi. And that was not also a plan. So when he declared himself as a president of Congo, he took power, and then we saw one thing happen. He should not keep the control of the army. And we had the first foreigner general of the army, that was Kabarebe, who is now general in Rwanda, put in place, and they presented us as this is a Munyamulenge. This is someone who will control the army.
So just my point I said before, Rev Larry. So they put a Rwandan army official as the head of the army.
At the head of the army. So you see, and
Wow.
when you see this in a way they were planning, and Kabila in power asked them to leave.
Yes.
Kabila asked them to leave. You have to leave the country.
Yeah.
You have finished your mission.
Yeah.
We now have the liberation. Mobutu is gone. We need you to go back.
Yeah.
And when he asked them to go back, 3 months after,
Yeah.
there was the second war began in 1998.
Okay.
In 1998, asking them to leave. It means in 1997, they took power.
Yeah.
In 1998, Kabila said, you have to leave.
Yeah.
And then began the second war. This is considered as the World War of Africa.
Africa. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And what happened? Happened? They tried again. Rwanda put a special plan to kill Kabila. And then Kabila was killed. And then, in order to maintain order in the country, they need another person who can just unify people. That's why they decided from Congo to put Kabila,
the son,
Joseph Kabila, the son.
Yeah.
And then the son was just trying to maintain a kind of, the first mission of the son was to unify the country because the country was divided.
Yeah.
And this happened in Sun City. They took a country together. So he was trying to just keep a kind of good relation with Rwanda until he stopped, and now trying again to do something. But this is the reality. This is the truth.
Yeah. And again,
problem. This is internal issue in our country, saying that Kabila is not Congolese. Kabila is Congolese. Kabila is the son of Kabila. But you know, when having a father like Kabila, and when having a country controlling all the country around, you have to protect your sons. You have to protect your family. And that's why he was just living abroad, studying at the Centre Culturel Français of Tanzania. And for some people in Congo, because he wasn't in Congo, it's like he is Rwandese. And this is also another issue. I'm from Maniema, for example, but there are some Congolese, because even if I speak Lingala, I would not have an accent of someone coming from Kinshasa. They call me Rwandese. They call me Rwandese. So you see, this is our internal issue.
Yeah.
And I went, because I'm journalist, I went in the region where Kabila was born.
Yeah.
I was in Fizi. I was in the region of Ehewa border. And he's known that he was born there. Kabila was born in Fizi.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry I have to
just
interrupt now. We have not really gone far because our time is up, unfortunately. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been really, engrossed in this discussion. We have barely scratched the surface of it all. And we would like to appeal to you. Hopefully we can maybe continue this discussion sometime. Unfortunately, we haven't gone that far at all. We'll be talking about the conflict in the DRC. We titled it, Sister Congo, what Aileth did. That is, what is the problem? What is troubling you? And we are analyzing all the issues, the background issues affecting the DRC today. Unfortunately, we run out of time, so I'm going to have to say goodbye to our guest today. Thank you so much, Ewing, for being here. Your insights.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all your listeners. Thank you. Thank you, Gaetan.
And also to Gaetan, I want to thank you for your time. We appreciate your insight. Hopefully, we can reschedule a continuation. But thank you.
When you need, invite us again.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.